Okay.
All right, so we are live, I think, right? So,
Hello.
welcome to another edition of Leaders Being Heard. Ho, ho, ho. We are approaching Christmas, not yet so today we have a new topic for you. So, today's topic is how do you deal with conflicting stakeholder requests? So, for this, we have today with us Christina and Andra. Hi, Christina. Hi, Andra.
Hello.
Hi.
Good.
Nice to have you here with us. So, yeah, so let's dig a bit into this topic, right? We have stakeholders in our projects, and then we have every stakeholder in a way or another way has requests. So what happened when two stakeholders or more have a request that is conflicting? So let's dig into it. Christina, what do you say? What is there an example, or can you give us some more details on this topic?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I think it's important for us to align what do we consider conflicting expectations from stakeholders. And I think everybody has encountered in their life, at work, when they were requested different things by different people for the
Mhm.
in the same area, for the same topic. Such as I have an example. For example, for the landing page in a website, somebody from department, they want something and somebody else wants something else because they have different jobs, right? And they have different objectives. And nobody gives in. They want to to pursue their requests. And
Mhm.
so what do you do in this case? Or another case I have in mind is when, for example, a technical department, they want to give the solution for a file, for an investigation, for example. And then the next department on the flow, they want to do the same. I mean, they only want to receive facts and then the solution to be defined by somebody else. So there are
I
these
think that
kind of different views, yeah.
they are different also in
Quite
life,
important.
right? You can think like, oh, it's only in business where this happens, but it's the same in life. You think of your wife wants something, and your mother wants something else. Then how do you deal with it? So
And what do you do? Yeah. Where do you go at
where do you
seven
go with
o'clock?
that?
Stakeholders, yes.
Yes. So, what are the obvious steps here, Christina? First of all, I mean, looking at from the perspective, let's put like this, a technical perspective, more or
Mm-hmm.
less.
Yeah, from a business analysis perspective, this is happening. This is life. We are all humans, and it's happening. So, some obvious, some certain rules to be followed when we encounter these situations. I think first of all, we need to know what falls within the scope of the project. What is the initial intention of the project to make sure we don't deviate? I mean, people can ask anything, but where are the limits? And the limits usually we find them at the beginning of the project, in the main goal objective, or how do we define the success of the project? And I think this is important. Okay, does not give you the solution, but it gives you the frame where you can play. And also, when you're out of options, again, you come out and say, okay, I can play within these limits. Anything should be here, not something to go outside. So knowing the scope, the limits, and the objective of the project is very important. They are very important. And another thing that I would make sure I would want to know before I dive into solving the conflict or managing the conflict is to make sure I understand all parties. I mean, what do they want? Why do they want it? How do they do it currently? so to understand the context, and in case when we are trying to find solution, to make sure that we respect or we follow the stakeholder needs. So these would be my first two actions to make sure I cover as a business analyst, and then yeah, we dance.
So this is well, I would say it's a pertinent, there are pertinent steps, but what comes to my mind now, it's like, why not go with one solution? Just one solution that, well, look at who's the powerful stakeholder and pick that one. How about that one? Why is that not a good solution, or is a good solution?
I think here we have we can come up with different views, all valid. Even if we go with the stronger person or hypo, I think it's the higher paid or person. Even if we go like this, the other person would not be happy. So, and still, I'm not sure that we will deliver the project, because so if we don't manage to make all ends meet in such a conversation, either way, it will be tricky. I mean, in the end, it will not be a winning situation for everybody. And I think here we have also, from a communication point of view, I think Andra can help us more in what is the impact if we go with a, I don't know, more direct, short.
How is the impact, Andra? How do you see it?
From the communication point of view. If somebody is not happy, it will be hard for everybody to have the project happen. So it's to have it might not sound sometimes that it's your job as a BA to do that, but it is to have the buy-in on everybody and to be aligned on what is going to happen. So this is it's going to be, not enjoyable to work, and the results won't be as expected. If somebody if they are not aligned and they are not heard and their input is not validated, then it's a chance that they will react, or they will just step out and not be interested in that.
Got it. So if we talk about the obvious steps, right, and we talk that we cannot ignore one, or we take a side, let's put it like this, I'm going with this stakeholder because he's more powerful. What are the not so obvious steps? I mean, what could be something to give you some openings, right? To give you something to work with. Andra, what can you?
I can answer from the communication perspective, and then Christina can add. One thing that I see is, for example, we go into meetings and not all the stakeholders are there present, and then we agree on something, and sometimes we just inform the others via email. And I want to emphasize that does not really work, because we don't know if emails are read. So it's a conversation, and to be in communication and to make sure that all the stakeholders are aware of what was discussed there, and if they agree with it, and if they don't agree, like to get their arguments and to see where you go from there. So somehow you're a bit from outside, and you just look and you facilitate. And then if they don't align there, you need to get them together, in the same room, and you facilitate. And I just want to acknowledge that it's not, for you as a BA, it's not something comfortable to do, and it might sound it's not my job, to do it, but actually it is, to facilitate that and to make sure that they align. So this is what I see.
So what I see in what you're sharing is that don't just have emails, everything on email. Send an email, then somebody replies to the email, and so on and so forth, right? Have a conversation via email, because in this kind of situation, instead of getting things solved, you perhaps might inflame them more, right? They're more.
Yes, I can say a bit about the impact now that you mentioned that. So if you send an email and then you don't know what's happening and you assume they know, it might explode a month later when that person finds out, and I'm like, I don't agree with that.
Mhm.
And it's a bit late. Maybe something already started, so it's late to deal with it. So
Mhm.
the impact is even bigger. Now, what we do, maybe we need to roll back some stuff that we already done. So it's important also for you to make sure, because otherwise the impact grows as time goes by, if
Mhm.
they don't align with what was discussed.
Okay. So also you mentioned to have like direct conversation, right? To have to put
Mhm.
them together, to prepare yourself for this. And this is interesting. How do you prepare for such a mediation? I would say, right? Because it's a mediation in a way to kind of make people to reach this. So
Yeah, it's so you just facilitate, and it's what you can bring is clarity. Like you just need to put it on the table. This is what you want, and this is why, and this is what you want, and this is why. So we are
Mhm.
here together to align and to find a common ground. Yeah, and then you facilitate that conversation. Like, who wants to start? Who wants to say their input?
Sounds simple, right? I mean, Christina, what do you think?
It's not simple, but thank you, Tantra, for pointing the schema, the structure. But it's not simple because the intention is very good to put people, and I think it's mandatory in such a situation to bring people to the same table, if possible, a face-to-face meeting.
Mhm.
Because otherwise do not hide behind the camera or something. To let people know in advance, this is what we are going to discuss. You have this opinion, the other person has this one. Nobody's wrong, but we need to come to a common agreement, because there is one page. I can't place double information. I don't know, something. I mean, they have to understand what's the conflict, and that it's not about them, even though they might have thousands reasons, said or unsaid. And in the conversation, I think the most difficult part is if people start to, shouting, imposing, taking over the conversation and speaking endlessly, and this kind of stuff, which can be difficult for a business analyst who is not really, maybe it's a younger person, and the people in the room, they are more experienced, and they know how to use their words and their powers. So it can become a very difficult conversation. However, having the structure and having set the context why the people are there, give very good grounds and solid grounds to have a good outcome of the meeting, and hoping for a
Mhm.
middle solution.
Middle solution. So I see in what you both said, it's very important when you go in this meeting to actually create this context, this background, and not to invalidate any of the ideas, right? Any of the requirements, and be, in a way, acknowledge both of the, or if there are more than that, more stakeholders, to acknowledge the validity of their requests, right? And then invite them, right, to speculate on how they can solve this one, right? And of course, does it take one meeting? Could take more meetings? Who knows, right? Might be. What do you think about this? Is it depends?
It
depends. Yeah.
Depends.
There is something that I want to add on conflict. So it starts, this one is like a task conflict, which is productive. Yes. So it's for you to be careful not to end up, I don't know how to say, a social conflict. Yeah. When there are people and they are taking it personally. So when it's a task and this is what we all want and it's not about them, yeah, it is productive and it's great. We meet here so we can, yeah. So when you facilitate, it's for you to actually see when you end up in the other, when Christina said, when people get angry and whatever is happening, then it's not a task conflict anymore. So it's a different level to facilitate. I wanted to emphasize this difference.
This is
subtle.
really interesting, I would say. And how do you make sure, this is a question for you, Andra, how do you make sure that this personal, well, everybody has in a way their personal agenda, right? They have predefined relation with the others, right? So where you are coming into a meeting, it's not the first time when probably those people are seeing each other, or if they are seeing each other the first time, perhaps something else needs to be done. So how do you deal with this? Because in a way you say it's task oriented, but also there are people involved, right? And people have agendas, their own agenda, they have feelings, they have past experience with that people. So there is a lot of personal interconnections, let's put it like this, that influence actually the conversation. I would assert if the two people that have like different opinions, right, on their different views, but they are in real life, they are really, really good friends. When you go to that meeting, probably it's easier to solve it rather than people are, they hate each other. Let's put it like this. They hate each other, right?
They had conflicts in the past.
They had conflicts in the past. So then it's a minefield that you are entering into, right? So how do you deal with this? And it's really, I acknowledge that perhaps this is a totally different topic that is really vast.
I can just answer shortly. So it's what is that you can do. It's like it's not your job to work on their relationship. It's you bring them back to the task. You bring them back to this is like interrupt when it goes and acknowledge. Okay, I see that there is a tension here. Like validate. What you can do is to validate. This is valid and also this is valid. Yes, and bring them back to why we are here, and it's to make it work, and this is the task. Like it's bring them back to why we are here and not about them. Like that is something for them to solve outside. You're not there is a yes, that is what I see in this moment, put it short. And it's for you to be like to have the power to interrupt when like things are going, and then how do you do it not to make the fire bigger?
Yeah,
that is a bigger topic, but the idea is it's you are there, and it's for you not to start to take it personally if somebody says, why are you interrupting me? Yes, it's because you can say we have this time and this is the conversation, and you can deal with yourself and your emotions afterwards.
Got it.
Yeah. I can add a little bit from my experience. I remember the one type of conversation where somebody was perorating, they was talking, and what worked was that I said, okay, I see that you're not happy. I see that you disagree with this. I see that I understand your discontent, that this is not okay for you, but we are in this meeting, we have 1 hour and we need to reach a conclusion. And if we don't reach a conclusion, then what do we do? I mean, I raised also this, I opened up, okay, what do we do if we don't agree, right? Because some people may remain stuck and they say, I will not give up, I will fight it in the end, whatever it means, but they are not thinking about the next step. They don't think about the project, they don't think about whatever, what will happen next, what happens with the money from the project or whatever. But then let's discuss what happens if we don't manage to solve the conflict or to come to an agreement in 1 hour, right?
What comes to my mind is to actually show them the bigger context. And in a way, it's the saying, right? Show them the stick. This is right. It's a more polite way, but it's also like, what are the consequences of actually to make them present to the consequences of disagreement, right? And what is actually that, because they might have disagreement, right? And they, as we said it, right, at the end, you might not have reached an agreement, right? But it's important to actually be present also to the to the consequences. I think this is a really good technique in a way to make them present to the consequences. Yes, Sandra, you want to say something?
And to make them present that we all want the same thing in the end. Like the bigger picture that we want is the same. We want this project to happen. And this is just a small step for us.
Well, this is actually a good question, right? It's because, as I said, everybody has his own agenda, right? So how do you make sure they both want the project, right? Because this is not always, you assume it's true, but people have their own agenda. So Christina, how do you deal with this?
It's true. Some people do understand that if they are stubborn enough to not contribute, I don't say that they have to give up on their opinions, but the invitation is, let's find a common ground. Okay. But indeed, some people want to contribute. Some people don't want to contribute, but they are aware that if they don't contribute, the impact will be still negative on them. So they start to collaborate, to cooperate. And there are people who really ask, do we really need this project? I mean, why do you want to change? I mean, really, why do you, I got this question, Christina, but why do you want to change us? I mean, there was a redundant activity in a process. Somebody would do something on a paper and the other people would just do the same on another paper, based on the information from the first one. It was just duplicate. But Christina, why do you want to change? Okay.
So yes, there are situations when people actually don't want this kind of
Yeah, and I think in this case, we come to I guess another technicality of how we deal with in a project. So if we don't manage to find a solution, we don't manage to agree, what do we do? And as much as I don't like it, escalation may be one of the solutions. I mean, if me as a BA, I can't solve it with the people, trying to get their contribution to creating the solution. So the solution would not come from me or from my colleagues, but to be built with them. It's important for the people to feel that they built something, and then they buy it. We have their buy-in far stronger and faster. So the invitation to collaborate and to create a solution together, that's another strong technique. But even if we can't do that, I think as an ultimate option would be to escalate and ask for somebody to mitigate, because it may be that the solution is outside of our circle.
So this means that you actually bring someone powerful into the conversation, like their boss or the boss of their bosses and so on. So somebody that has another way of being in conversation with them, right? This is Andra?
It's something I want to add here. Like, yeah, okay, escalate and be in communication about it. Like you can tell them at the end of the meeting or afterwards, we got nowhere. There is no conclusion, and it's my role to manage this. And my next step would be to talk to that person. Yeah, and we will go from there. Like let them know not to have a surprise that you are going without. Be in communication and say it's okay. We did not get to an agreement. And the next step that I see is for me to go and speak to that person. And also, we will go from there. Yeah.
Yes. And also, I think a good question here might be, what do you think about this one? Is to actually ask them, what do you think are the next steps? We acknowledge that we didn't agree on this, and ask them, what do you think? One solution is to go to this person, right? This powerful person, and ask him to be in conversation with us. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
Right.
that's
So
super cool.
let's summarize a bit before completing our conversation. So when you have this kind of disagreement, or you find yourself in this kind of situation, the first thing is to not actually jump into a conversation that is on emails, but more or less to be in a conversation, right, where everybody is in the same room or on the same Zoom or whatever is there, right? And be in conversation, be open about it, right? And on one hand, one of the technique that I heard here is like to bring the bigger context, right? To kind of to bring the bigger context, to not invalidate any of the parties and none of the ideas. Let them actually speculate on how they see this as a potential solving solution, like what is the solution. And then in the end, if nothing works, speculate to them what are the potential next steps, and one of them being bringing someone that is powerful and might mitigate the problem, right? Can take a decision perhaps, right? We can go this way or we can go that way, right? Anything else that you see here?
No, I think
I think
we opened up with a lot of thoughts.
yes. All right.
And that's super nice.
And it's also, I think it's always being communication. This is what I see here, right? Be open about it, not go and do things that are not, let's put it like this, ethical, or they are disconsidering the other parties, like take one side or just go to the boss and complain and just he will pick someone, because then disengagement will appear and you're not getting anywhere. All right, so you watching us, tell us please in the comments, how do you deal with this kind of situation? How did you find this interesting? Are you going to apply it? How in general, how do you find this topic for you, right, in your professional lives? And thank you, Christina. Thank you, Andra.
Thank you.
And this is it for today. And don't forget to subscribe, and happy holidays, because if you are watching us today, it's almost Christmas and New Year. So if you are celebrating this, Merry Christmas. If you're not, happy holidays, and see you next time, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you.